events here in the Abiyovich House, and we're really happy that we have like a really special event today during the Jewish Week of Leipzig. And as the title says, the number that saved my life, Nurit Ronin is going to say something about her family history, about the background of her mother, Sarah Landsberg. And so I wish you a wonderful event here, and you're welcome.
Sorry, I'm sleeping, but I need to read. I try to stay. I try. I'm not sure that I will be okay or evening. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Nurit Ronen. Today, I want to share with you a very personal journey. This is the life story of my mother, Sarah Holtzer, born Sarah Landsberg. Her story is titled The Number That Saved My Life, a life story in the shadow of the Holocaust. Originally, this lecture was given on April 22nd, 2014 at Migdalei Elisha in Haifa, Israel. This was a significant day for me. It was my mother's last Holocaust Remembered Day, and it was a very first time I ever told her story while she was present in the audience listening to me. Now, bringing her story back to Leipzig, the city where she was born, feels like closing a profound cycle. I will try to speak in the first person as if I, Sarah Holtzer, am telling the story. I hope I succeed. I was born in Leipzig, Germany on January 17, 1925. I was the youngest daughter of my father, Abraham Landsberg, who was born in Piotrków, Poland, on December 1892. And my mother, Golda Landsberg, born Berger, was born in Henshin, Poland, on February 1889. My parents lived in Lodz. In 1940, at the outbreak of World War I, when my father was required to enlist in the Polish army, he immigrated to Leipzig, Germany, and used to visit the family in Lodz. My eldest sister, Fanny, was born on January 1916 in Lodz, Poland. When she was 6 months old, my mother moved with her to Leipzig. I also had two brothers, Moritz Landsberg, born on October 1921, and my second brother, Jacob Landsberg, born on May 1923. Both of my brothers were also born in Leipzig, Germany. Except for my sister Fanny, who immigrated to Israel on the eve of the war, all other members of my family were in Auschwitz. Entitled, my two brothers, Moritz and Jacob, were kidnapped and sent to forced labor in concentration camps. And from there, they made their way to the sub-camps of Auschwitz. I arrived at Auschwitz with my parents in August 1943. My parents and my brother Jacob perished in Auschwitz. Moritz and I survived the Holocaust. To understand my mother's story, we must look at how the world was changing around her. This map shows Europe between 1939 and 1941. You can see Leipzig here in the heart of Germany, the center of the Axis territories. As this event spread across the map, they moved directly into my mother's family route. By 1941, almost the entire region was under Nazi control. On October 28, 1938, my family and I were part of the mass expulsion of Jewish with Polish citizenship from Germany. This map shows the route of our deportation. We were forced out of our home in Leipzig and sent toward border town of Zbonji. From there, we eventually made our way to Belgium, Poland. This was the moment our living in Germany ended, and we became refugees in the rapidly changing Poland. A special event that was attached into my memory was participate in a rally held by Hitler in 1933 in Leipzig. I was 8 years old at that time, and I went to the rally together with my non-Jewish friends. After the rally, Hitler came down to the crowd and began shaking hands. My friend and I also approached him and shook our hands. We were very excited. When I came home and boasted to my parents about the handshaking I received from Hitler, my parents scolded me and was severely and told me that I had not behaved properly. I remember very well the thing my parents said to me. How did you ever dare to do such thing? My father lashed out at me and continued, if Hitler knew you were Jewish, that would have been the end of you and us. My mother also joined him, scolded me and said to me, how did you do that? How did you ever dare? Where did you get this crazy idea from? I didn't understand at all what my parents wanted from me. How could I have known who Hitler was and what he was preparing for the Jewish? Besides, at that time, I was quite pressured. I did what everyone else did, and also whatever came into my head. October 28, 1938. This was the deportation of Jews from Leipzig to Zbonji. Look at the suitcase and the crowd. This was the reality of the exclusion. As you can see on the map, it was a journey from Germany towards Zbonji, Poland. I had family in Berlin, and that is why we arrived there. From the border, it was only 50 kilometers to reach them. We eventually arrived in Poland, which you can see marked here in red. said, October 27, 28, the Spontan exclusion. This was a massive deportation of Jewish respondent citizenship. They were event my family and went through, and I went through. Herschel Grinstein, a 17 years old German Jewish youth who had fled to Paris, received a harrowing letter from his family. In it, he discovered they had been deported to Poland as a part of the Spontan exclusion. The same exclusion my family and I went through. Driving by deportation and angry, Grinstein entered the German embassy in Paris on November 7th and shot Ernst von Rath, the third secretary to the German embassy. The Nazis used this event as an excuse to launch Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, between November 9th and 10th. We spent 5 incredibly difficult years in bending. Both of my brothers were snatched for forced labor and were later sent to concentration camps. My father fell ill, and my mother's health and ability to function also declined. My sister Fanny managed to obtain an immigration certificate and immigrate to the land of Israel. The entire burden of caring for the family fell upon me. My sole purpose was to protect my parents, to find them food and medicine, even if it meant sacrificing my own life. I could have saved myself on several occasions. I was even given the choice not to board the deportation train to Auschwitz. However, I refused to leave them. My parents' fate was more important to me than my own. I could not bear the thought of leaving them alone during the most agonizing time of their lives, especially as we headed toward Auschwitz. To honor this history of Bend and Ghetto, this Benden Memorial was established. This monument was erected on the main road at the foot of Benden's castle, known as Damek. Instead, in the area where the great synagogue once stood before, it was burned down, with Jews inside this synagogue. It established in 1993. August 8, 1943, deportation to Auschwitz-Birkenau. My parents, Abraham and Golda Landsberg, my aunt, Golda's sister, Sala Abramovich, age 10, the child Isaac, and I. On August 8, 1943, after a full day's journey on a crowded train inside a suffocating cattle car where it was impossible to breathe, I arrived at Auschwitz. Throughout the journey, I cared for both my parents, securing a small corner for them in the wagon. By then, my father was already paralyzed in the lower half of his body. I served as his physical support and anchor. The train came to the halt at the Jewish Rampa, not far from Birkenau. I assisted my father as he descended from the train while simultaneously trying to warn my mother about her sister and her young daughter who had arrived with us. I warned my mother to stay away from the little girl. I remember a night during our youth movement meeting when a man who had escaped Auschwitz told us the truth. Families are being suffocated in gas chambers, he had said. I felt my aunt would hand the child to my mother, thinking it might save the girl, but I knew it would mean threatening death for both. While I was supporting my father and leading him toward the main line, I noticed that the women's selection had begun. From where I stood, I saw my mother approaching Mengele. My young cousin was clinging to her. I left my father and ran toward her. And an S-man blocked me, my path. But I kept pushing forward. I was too late. Mengele had already signaled for both of them, my mother and her niece, to go to the right. My father was also sent to the same side. That was the last time I ever saw them. I was stripped of my identity. During the process of humiliation, I underwent in the sauna in Birkenau. The number 52,077 was tattooed on my arm. I was sent to Camp A, Block 15, 6-week quarantine period. Frank Hessler was commander of the women camp. I took my life into my hand and approached Hessler the commander of the women's camp in Birkenau. Without permission, I requested that he transfer me to more productive work, as I was a young woman ready and willing to perform any task. Entirely, he squared at me as if questioning how I ever dared to approach him. However, he gradually softened, likely influenced by the fluid German in which I addressed him. He asked my mother, he asked for my number and I immediately replied, 52077. He looked at me and said, "You are lucky, and because of that luck, you shall live." Hessler did it. My luck was my number. According to Hessler, the sum of the digit 5 plus 2 plus 0 plus 7 plus 7 equals 21. He explained that in a certain card game, blackjack, a player holding cards that sum to 21 win the entire pot. You won a lucky number. If you have any problem, you are authorized to approach me. He marched toward me before quickly sending me back to the block. Shortly after, I was transferred to Camp B, Block 27, and assigned to work in the Storm Commando, Steinkommando. Later, 1943, entering the Steinkommando. The immediate participant of my life. 2 months, I was assigned to the Steinkommando, forced to hold shore and start heavy storms, examining back breaking and physical crushing. This labor was nevertheless a proof of utility. Moving stone brought my days. I brought inhumanity logger in the brutal inhumanity logger of this earth. Work was the only past condition activity, and activity was the only way to avoid select. Every stone I carried was a testament to my physical capacity and by extension my life. On 1943 till 1944, Canada. What is Canada? Canada was a nickname for large warehouses where the personal belongings of new family were sorted. It was a place of extensive exchange abundance, filling of mountain of clothes, food, and valuation, while everyone around was starving. This object were the final remain of thousands of stolen identity and destroying family. Within Canada, I was given a specialized by assigning the group known as Rotkirchen. Our specific green task was to organize exclusively through children's clothes, blowing a tiny shirt, shorting a pair of small shoes. Every small grain was constant, heartbreaking remaining of a life that had been voluntarily cut short. This was not just labor, it was a daily through crushing and coding with a deeper for humanity and loss. Canada, it is a place filled with goods, but they are all stolen from the dead, and the people working there are starving. In January 1944, I was very sick with typhus, in the camp hospital known as the Revere. A friend of mine who worked there as a nurse came to me with an urgent worry. Because of her position, she knew that the next morning Mengele would arrive to send everybody in the Revere to the crematorium, be murdered. She begged me to fly back to Canada work group to save my life. But I was too weak. I simply could not leave the hospital or return to work. The next morning, the selection happened exactly as she predicted. And I was chosen for the gas chamber. They moved us to a latrine building to wait for the truck. Latrine is a closet. You see, hundreds of people can sit here to make what they need to make. And this is a hall. Those are the walls of the this latrine. Sorry. They moved us in a final moment of survival instinct. I decided to hide. I climbed into the latrine hole and hanged the edge with my hand while handing the whistle. I stayed here, invisible, while the other women were led away to where the crematorium. Suddenly, I heard a voice in a call. I recognized it was Commander Hessler. When somebody shouted into the barricade to ask if anyone was still there, I cried out from the pit, "Yes, I am here." Hessler and his men ran to the hall and pulled me out. Hessler recognized me immediately as a woman with a lucky number. He ordered the guards to remove me from the death list. He gave me a piece of soap and told me to go wash. After a shower and receiving clean clothes, I returned to his commander. Once again, I had survived. After pulling me from the latrine pit and saving my life, Hester decided to assign me to a new work group, the Potatoes Commando, known in German as the Kartoffelkommando. Every day, our job was to peel potatoes. Compared to the back-breaking labor of the Stone Commando, this was a much better assignment. It required less physical strength. It was vital since I was still recovering from typhus. This job provided us with more than just a task. It provided us with a way to stay alive. At the end of each workday, we were able to smuggle some of the potatoes back into the camp. In a place of constant starvation, these small pieces of food were a miracle that helped us survive another day. In November 1944, Hessler offered to transfer me to the Union Ammunition Factory. This condition there was much better. It was indoor work, which was a hard event during the freezing winter months. Despite the warmth and the safety from the elements, I refused. I chose to stay in the camp. By January 1945, the camp was being liquidated Esther came to me once last time. He told me the Union factor was being removed back into Germany and offered for me to go with him. Once again, I refused to go. I choose the unknown future of Kem rather than follow him. Why would a young woman refuse better food and indoor work? The truth is, I was young and I was beautiful, and I was well aware of what happened to women in my position. I feared that if I went with him, Hessler would turn me into a sex slave. Horrified realities that many women faced. I decided that I would rather risk death in the camp than lose my dignity and my body to him. On January 18, 1945, my time in Auschwitz-Birkenau finally ended. I was incredibly lucky to be placed on the last train leaving the camp of for Bergen-Belsen. The train from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen. Because I was on this train, I did not have to endure the horrified death march on foot that killed so many others. My journey was 8 days trip by rail. Just 9 days after I left, the Russian army liberated Auschwitz, but I was already on my way into Germany. The nightmare finally began to end in April 1945. On April 10th and 11th, the British Army enters Bergen-Belsen. We were liberated. For the first time in years, I was free. I was alone. My very first act as a free woman was to try and track the fate of my family. I knew my sister Fanny had reached the land of Israel before the war, but I had no idea what had happened to her. My brothers, Moritz and Jacob, had been selected for forced labor years earlier in Bending. Look at these images. They show people in displacing a person camps, standing and bulletin were covered in small notes. Everyone was searching for a name, for a sign, or scrap of information about their loved one. After many inquiries, I finally learned that my brother Moritz had survived several concentration camps and had been sent to Buchenwald. This is a letter to Moritz from Bergen-Belsen, 1945. Dear Moritz, you will be surprised after a separation of 2 years to suddenly find a sister again, so sadly without our mother or father. Believe me, it is not pleasant to recall all of our I have prepared myself for this for 2 years, but I believe this will be a hard blow for you. We are not the only ones who are struck so hard. Everyone carries the same suffering, searching for relatives in the hope of finding them. You and I are among the lucky ones who found one another. Hope is not lost. Perhaps we will be lucky enough to meet Jacob. As you know, I was in Auschwitz. I will tell you everything in personal when we meet. I want to ask if you can come to Bergen-Belsen, because I wish to go to move on from this place as soon as possible. Stay healthy and let me know as soon as you can. Sending you my greeting and kisses, your sister Pipe, Sarah. Pipe is Puppe, doll in Deutsch. After the war ended, Moritz and I realized that there was nothing left for us to look for in Germany. Our family was gone, our home was gone, and the world we knew had disappeared. We decided to make our way to the land of Israel and start again. On July 16, 1945, we finally received our immigrants' certificates. If you look at this official list all the time, you can see our number. My brother, Moritz, is at number 647, and I, listed as Holtzer Landsberg, at number 657. These pieces of paper were our ticket to the new future. That very same day, we boarded the ship Mataroa. We left the shore of Europe behind and began the journey crossing the Mediterranean Sea. Finally, we arrived at the port of Haifa. As we stand off the ship, we are not just survival anymore. We were home. I have to show you. This is the front of the ship, Mataroa. There is no passenger no, but afterward, his father, Moritz, was in the Navy in Israel. And this is a photo of Moritz in the Navy of Israel. The Gingy. This map shows the long and the difficult path I traveled across Europe between October 1938 and July 1945. It is a journey that began in the heart of Germany, Leipzig, and ended on the shores of the land of Israel, here, after Kafrisen. The red line represents the years of deportation and suffering. My journey began in Leipzig when my family was expanded across the border to Bending, Poland. In August 1943, the red line led us to the gate of Auschwitz. where I lost my parents and my brother Jacob. The black line, you see, Benjamin, and then to Auschwitz. The black line shows the journey toward liberation. In January 1945, as the war was ending, I was sent by train to Bergen-Belsen, while my brother, Moritz, was eventually sent to Buchenwald. After we liberated in April 1945, the bus turned south. We traveled through Switzerland to reach the port of Marseille in France. From there, we boarded the ship Mataroa to the port of Haifa. You cannot see it here. Finally, completing the journey to our new home. What happened to Franz Kessler? Franz Kessler is notorious for his brutal action at Auschwitz. Near the end of the war, he was brought to Bergen-Belsen camp, where he continues his role as a war criminal. Alongside others from the same camp, Kessler was put on a trail at the end of 1945. He was sentenced to death and was executed by hanging in December 1945 in Bergen-Belsen. This is our family. This family tree represents the life and the legacy of my mother, Sarah Holtzer. At the very top, you see the roots, my grandfather Abraham and Golda Landsberg, who were murdered in Auschwitz 1943. Beside them are 4 civilians. Fanny, who made it to Israel. Jacob, who perished in 1945. Moritz, who survived. And my mother, Sarah. The boxes highlighted in yellow represent Sarah's nuclear family. After arriving in Israel, Sarah and my father, where is my father? And my father, Marcus, built a new life together. They had 3 children, Yigal, Meira, and I. From those 3 branches, the family continued to expand into grandchildren and great-grandchildren. The name you see in red are the youngest member of our family, the great-grandchildren born after January 2014. My mother used to say to the growing tree, my revenge is a large family that I brought into the world. I have to say that there is another branch that is not here because it is not the nuclear family of Sarah, but we have 2 boys of Moritz, Ariel and Michael, and the grandchildren of Moritz. 4 of them are here, 1 is staying in Israel. So we have another branch here for Moritz. But it in writing. You got? You're right. Okay? Go. This album was created following the writing of the book in Hebrew and in German, The Number That Saved My Life. I chose, it's written in Hebrew, but my little small brother will explain.
My young.
The kleine,
The young.
the youngest one.
Yeah.
No, two youngest than me.
De kleine Ingele.
I will say something. She will say, shows on the picture, and I will explain everything. And if my English is not perfect, but I will try to. Anyhow, my sister, the biggest sister,
The oldest.
the oldest one, the oldest, take it to a mission of her life, and she, as she said, she's a doctor, but she mostly in front of children, she's a teacher. So years by years, all the time, she give all these things and all the lections that she show us in English, usually in Hebrew, in front of students, now in student, and before it was for children. So that's what she done. The other sister, Mira, she do it the same in another way, but in her community in Farvadim in the north of Israel. And I, the little one, as you understand, I'm the little one, 67, by the way. Just to connect the ages here, 67. And I do it almost every year since as a mission again. Knowing Mira and I as a mission to the next generation and to the next generation, and never we shall never forget what we have done. So I know that most of you are second generation and even later and more. So that is our mission, and let's do it quickly. This is my mother, as Norit said before. We are talking about Abraham, my grandfather, Golda, and Yaakov that didn't survive, as we said, Norit said, didn't survive the Holocaust. And now we are talking, this is why my parents was married, the Ketubah, as you can see. And, okay, wait. This is a year before my mother was passing away. This is, as you can see, on the left side is Snowit, on the right side is Meira, in the middle one, Yigal, and in the middle, my mother, Sarah. In the right side, you can see the grandchildren and the children of Nurit and Meira. On the left side is the bigger one. The oldest one is in the middle with the blue shirt. Keep on. And on the left side, you see it was January, as you see the date there. It's her grandchild of my mother, Sarah, Moran. And it was an age 89 of my mother, and she gave her a flower a year before she was passing away. And this is the great-grandchildren from my sister Nuri.
The only pictures that I have.
And as you can see on the right side, you can see my mother when she was young, and you see always when she make a picture, and when she is working in a public, that the people will see the number, and they will ask her, especially in Germany. When she's traveling in Germany, on train or in the public places, she usually put her hand and she wanted the people will ask her what is the number.
Not ashamed.
And then she will talk about it as probably as you felt and you feel, I don't know how to say,
Sag ihm Deutsch, das ist ein...
And I want to tell you one thing.
No, give it to me.
Okay.
Anyhow, I just want to say about the number that each time the people was sit there and they ask us, she always talk about it, but in front of us, never. We didn't know anything about it, nothing. So all the things that we knew it was telling you, it's another story, which you know that. But the pictures that you see in the left, it's her, the grandchildren from Meira that was made in, as you see, in 2015. This is the great-grandchildren, yes, she was trying to copy the original picture. She was in age on the fourth grade, and that's what she was pictured. On the left, we can see the grandchildren from Nuri. On the right up, grandchildren of Meira. Four downstairs.
Children, not the grandchildren.
Grandchildren of Meira, Sarah.
Sarah.
Grandchildren of Sarah. Mean the children of Meira and Nuri. And this is my children, 3 boys. The grandchildren of Sarah, all of grandchildren, and this is all of the great-grandchildren.
Part of them.
Yes, most of them. And Nurit said to me that I have to mention about January. You see, everything is January. She was born in January 1925. She was free on January 45, and she was passing away on 2015.
And on his Deutsch.
And while we are looking on her, how do you say it?
Grave.
On her grave, we put all the, to have a memory for her brother and her parents. We put something on it. So that is our side. As Nuit said, we are talking about our side, and we have to mention all the time that sit with us, Ariel, Michael, and all the grandchildren. Just one is studied in Israel, as my sister said, and this is the only picture that we have.
From Leipzig.
This is the only picture. Nothing. Just in the middle one, it's not. From the past, it's from now. And if we are talking about the other side of our family, Michael and Ariel, this is Moritz on the right side, on the left side, with the mother Michael, Moritz and Michael with both sons, Ariel and Michael, sitting with us here, as you understand. And this is our all family. If we start from the up with the black, with my father, Moritz in the middle, and then Michael, and the grandparents, and anyhow. And as we said, we are not forget and keep on saying everything. So each one of us have been in Birkenau. Meira was in 2018. I have been in May 2005, and Nuit, that's her name. Probably, if not, people who came to Auschwitz-Birkenau suddenly get interested, and you see flowers, green things. And by the way, because Nuit, her name is Nuit, Nuit is a flower, so you can see Nuit, so Nuit, my sister, is sensitive to things like this. So to make a picture. In Auschwitz-Birkenau, New York, flowers. So that's all the pictures that we have.
For the end. נו, קדימה, קדימה, בלי אנשים. You have 5 minutes to hear a story for children. Okay?
You want me to tell a story? Okay. My name is Neira, and you have all the details already, so I won't get into it. Anyway, I want to read you a special story. It's a story for children, and it's related to the past of my mother, and afterwards we'll explain. Anyway, the name of the book is The Whistle. Yes, I don't know how to whistle. Wait, you know how to whistle? Later? Later, okay. Grandmother Sarah told me the story I am going to tell you now. Grandma Sarah is my friend's mom. She is very old now, but when she was a little girl, she and her family lived in a far-away country called Germany. Sarah had a big family, 2 parents and 3 brothers. They lived in a beautiful house with a big wide yard. Sarah used to spend most of her life with her brothers and neighbors' children in the yard. They loved playing chess, hide and seek, ball games, and double touch. Sarah liked those marbles with the boys very much. She was an excellent player and used to earn a lot of marbles in the game. Sarah loved to spend time in the yard, which was a joint playground for everyone, and she had a lot of happy times with her brothers and her friends there. Sarah and her family shared a special whistle. Every time the children had to return home, one of the parents used to whistle. Everyone
Zweimal.
good. Everyone knew about the special whistle of Sarah's family and called it the communication whistle. The whistle was used to call Sarah and her brothers home to announce when someone was in trouble and needed help or when someone arrived home. Sarah was a very friendly and loving girl, but her brother Moritz was her favorite. They shared a special bond. Sarah and Moritz enjoyed playing pranks. I don't know what it is.
Pranks.
Ah,
מתיחות.
on their friends. Moritz was a very naughty boy, and he always had stories for little Sarah. One day Sarah was playing marbles with the boys, close with the children, and chess with the children. What a long and fun day it was. Moritz went looking for Sarah, but he couldn't find her. She was busy playing with her friends. It was a late evening hour, just before dinner and getting ready for bed. Moritz went to the playground to look for Sarah, but he didn't find her. Suddenly he came up with an idea. Maybe if I whistle our special sound, Sarah will hear. Sarah will hear it, and it will help me find her. Moritz started to whistle and kept whistling. לא מוותרת על טיפה של יוד. סליחה.
תמשיכי, אני יש לו...
לא. Sarah, די נו. Sarah heard the whistle right away and a big smile spread across her face. She thought to herself, it must be brother Moritz looking for me. I must follow the sound and that will surely lead me straight to him. Sarah began to run. Moritz saw her from a distance and waved to her. Sarah's life was peaceful, happy and pleasant till the day of the war. It was a dark, sad and frightening day for Sarah. She had to separate from her parents, brothers, her home, and play out which she loved so much. Sarah didn't understand what war was and what it meant and why she had to say goodbye to her parents. She felt very sad. She cried and kept repeating the same sentence over and over. It's not fair, it's not fair. I do not want to go
No way.
to Auntie.
Oh.
Sarah's dad stroked her hair and said, Sarah, honey, we are very sad to say goodbye, but I promise you that everything we do, including this separation, is for your own good. This is our only way to protect you. Moritz approached Sarah too and said, Sarah, sweetheart, I'm going to the same unknown place and I want to ask you for something. Well, wherever you go, always keep our special whistle and your heart, our special connection whistle. The family...
הזמן לשתייה.
The family had a big loving group hug, but this time it was a farewell hug. During the cold winter nights of that horrible war, Sarah thought a lot about her mom and dad, her brother Moritz, her home, and the big playground that she used to love so much, and her heart was filled with yearning. Tears began to flow from Sarah's eyes and wet her pillow, but she always thought about the famous whistle too. Sometimes she saw her brother Moritz's face in her dreams. He was always smiling at her and whistling their whistle. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and then years. The terrible war came to an end. The soldiers at the place where Sarah lived during the war announced that everyone was free then and they could reunite with their families and loved ones. Sarah became a young woman looking for a family. One morning, Sarah met her best friend who knew her brother Moritz. The friend told Sarah she had seen someone that looks just like Moritz at one of the hospitals nearby. Sarah's heart filled with great hope, and she thought, I hope that my Moritz is alive and well and close by. I need to start looking for him at once. Sarah started a journey and got to the place her Moritz had told her about. It was a very big building with a lot of people running around, and it was very hard to look for Moritz in all this hostel. Sarah was wandering around in the corridors, looking for every room to find Moritz, but he could not be found anywhere. Sarah suddenly came up with an idea. Oh, the whistle, her family communication whistle. Sarah, די, נו. אחת הגדולה, מה אני אעשה?
תדלקי לה בחזרה.
לא יודעת לשרוק. היא שורקת בשבילי שם, ואני עושה. זה נגמר. Suddenly Sarah came up with the whistle idea. Her family's communication whistle. Sarah walked around the hospital building along זה כבר הקראתי. And then all of a sudden she heard the whistle from one of the back rooms. It wasn't her, it was Moritz responding to her. Sarah stopped walking and kept listening to the familiar and favorite sound. Her legs literally took her towards the whistle sound, and she arrived to the room where her beloved brother Moritz was. They hugged and embraced, while tears of excitement trickling them down their cheeks. This time, these tears were of joy and happiness. They talked and talked and talked and told each other everything that had happened to them during the war. They promised to never become part again. They promised to never become part again, and decided to go together to Israel and make Aliyah. So now I want to close the circle while we are mentioning this briefly, because when Sarah went to Buchenwald to find Moritz, she didn't know, because it's a huge camp, I've been there, it's unbelievable. And to find in those days someone, it was impossible. So then really she went around the hospital and whistle, and the story, this is the story, but the story is meant to be to the children, but it's true. All the story is true, and that's what happened, and that's how they met each other. Wow.
ביקשו לעשות את זה.
Be